Welcome back to our fledgling Ilkhanate. Today we're going to attack the Mammluks. And I know what you're thinking, you'll say, you? Look at you. You're tiny, you're weak, you're gonna fight the Mammluks? Really? Yes. Despite our tiny weakness, we can definitely overcome them. We're going to start building a spy network on them for that purpose. I want to wait though until our next parliament. Let me check. We have 2 years until the next parliament. When that happens, we'll use it, call up the extra levies, and then we'll attack them. We also want a CB on them, obviously, so maybe it won't be exactly when the parliament happens. There is still a bit of a coalition against us. We do have a CB on them. We could attack them right now, in fact. I think we're going to. We'll wait until we get a diplomat. I'll just need to increase diplomatic spending a bit, and then we'll attack them. There's only a few states left in the Ilkhanate that still defy us, but we do need to destroy them. I'm also going to expand our army a little bit. Our economy still isn't doing amazingly, obviously, due to, as always, lack of control in our land. It's slow going, coring everything. I'm going to expand the army a little where we can. For now, though, let's just wait until that diplomat comes up and then we'll attack the coalition. We'll also expand our army a bit just with the extra horse archer, which should bring us up to 2,400 horse archers. More than enough to kill anything that moves. Alright, there's our diplomat. We'll pounce on the coalition. They shouldn't be too difficult to deal with. And we're not going to take land from all of them, obviously, just the people we need to. The Adoro decided to join, though. Not sure why. We must have offended them. The target of the war does have a fort, but it's only a stockade, so we should be able to plough straight through it. Here's our parliament. We are still at war with the coalition, though we can pretty much end it whenever we want to. We just need to siege down this nation here, who's got quite a lot of forts. But if I wanted to, I could just make peace on my own. So we're going to ask for a larger levies here. We don't have enough spy network for us to build the casus belli on the Mamluks just yet. Hopefully we can do it before we lose access to those extra levies. It'd be sad if we lose them and have to fight without them. It wouldn't be insurmountable though. Aha, we've reached the age of discovery. As always, I think we're going to go admin. It just appeals to me too much. If we really wanted to buff our military though, going mill would be a good idea. There doesn't really have anything in this era that provides benefits for our cavalry though. The antagonism decrease would be nice, I guess. But no, we're going to go admin. It's probably going to be a while before we get the institutions anyway. Alright, our casus belli against the Mammluks is available. We still have about a year until we lose the extra levies, but I think we're going to call this war with the rebels sooner rather than later. As I mentioned, I did want to fully annex these guys. It's taken a while to siege down their capital, though. We'll see. If we can take their capital in the next few months, then it's fine. If not, we'll just have to exit. Oh, well, there we go. We took it. So could we full annex these guys? I'd love to. They're a pretender to the Ilkhanate, so there's some we do actually need to completely destroy. We could full annex them. Wouldn't be too much of a problem. Who would it anger? It would anger them, obviously, and some other nations in the region. But I don't think anyone of relevance. Armenia will care. Armenia, ironically, is our vassal, though, so not sure I'm bothered. I think we'll do it. What's the worst that could happen? Then we'll annex the other coalition member, and that's the coalition done. That gives us a lot of land. We're not going to hand it out. This land is actually connected to us, so we should be able to get control up in it, or at least some control in it from Hormuz. Next, we're going to accept some cultures. It's going to push us over our limit, but accepting these cultures will allow us to pull in more levies. It's probably a mistake, really, but I just want to buff ourselves out as much as we possibly can for this fight with the Mammluks. Now, if we wait a month or so, we've now caught a bunch of territory. We now have 30,000 levies. Remember, our levies are all cavalry. We're now going to declare war on the Mamluks using our Horde Expansion CB, which is also a show superiority war, which is exactly what we want. We're then going to call up all of our levies. We're going to gather them up in our capital or thereabouts. Remember, we don't actually have any forts, so the Mamluks will be able to just march in and destroy us. But that's kind of what we want. We want them to come in, we want to lure them in really, and then we want to annihilate them. We'd love to fight them on our terms in our territory, where our cavalry can really do the work. They heavily outnumber us, obviously, but we should be able to bridge the gap purely based on quality. Here's some Mamluk stacks entering the country. They're all levies. Well, actually, these are their regulars. Are they all of their regulars? Looks like they're about half. They're 12,000 or so. It'd be nice if we could catch and eliminate all of their regulars, but we'll take whatever we can get. We should just be able to walk into them and annihilate them, even though they're regulars. We are cavalry. Yep, there they go. They've been taken hostage, so they won't be able to be used anymore. We'll throw them deep into our country so they can't be called up or rescued. We'll move on to start stack wiping these levy stacks. They're not going to be able to pose anything resembling a threat to us. It's the regulars and potentially mercenaries. There's a good chance that the Mamluks will reach into their pocket and pull out some mercenaries. There's not much we can do to stop that other than being ready to fight them and keeping an eye out for them. There's another group of Mamluk regulars defeated. How many do they have left now? Only 1,600 men. That's excellent. One of the things is, though, in order to get enough war score for them to capitulate, we are going to need to occupy a bit of land. That's, I think, where things are going to be the hardest. Not necessarily because occupying land is difficult, but it means we'll need to cross the border into their territory and siege down forts, and that'll give the Mamluks time to do untoward things. Let's actually jump on this fort here and have a look-see. What is it like to siege it? Well, it's not too bad. It could be better. It's not as fast as I would like, though. So we're definitely not going to be able to siege down. Look at that. A bunch of them just all showed up here very aggressively. They're all on low morale, though, because they've just showed up. Let's see if we can't annihilate them quickly before their morale can replenish. Yep, I think we got a lot of them. Let's see if we can catch these ones that are fleeing into our land. They're a little too fast. We could grab these ones here that are about to arrive there. Then we'll go for the ones that are fleeing. There were a few regulars caught up in all that, so that's excellent as well. There's only 60,000 of them left, supposedly. 19,000 of those are Mamluks. It looks like they are hiring more regulars to replace the ones that we captured. But that's not something we can really stop. We just need to overcome them. We just need to overcome the millions of regulars and mercenaries they'll potentially call up. Anything else is essentially some sort of bonus. Ah, yeah, look, they've started to call up mercenaries. They felt the damage that we've done. I mean, that's a good sign because it means the AI thinks, oh, we've lost a little too many people. Let's start calling people up. But it's bad because it means we now have to fight mercenaries. But based purely on numbers, we still outnumber them. There's 90,000 of us. 20,000 of that is ours. If we're lucky, our vassals will call up their own mercenaries and help bridge the gap a bit. We have reached the point where we can't gain any more war score from battles though, so we are going to have to start heading into the Mammluk territory, which is honestly pretty scary. We're going to tell all of our vassals to focus on sieging. What we'd like is for them to come over and siege stuff while we focus on wiping out enemy stacks that show up. Our vassals have also decided to take a rather roundabout way to invade Mammluk territory. I don't really like this. We can see there's the Mammluk mercenary army they've called up there. Currently that is basically most of their soldiers in the form of those mercenaries. I guess we should head over and see if we can grab them. As I said though, I don't really like my vassals doing this. Why would you go all that way around when you could have just walked to the province here? Pretty nonsensical. One of the problems is the Mammluk armies just run the moment they see us. They're prioritizing trying to grab our vassals. We might be able to grab the mercenary army here though. Yeah, it looks like it. So that's them, well, not fully eliminated, but mercenaries don't replenish. So they're not going to be able to rebuild their losses at least. They'll have to hire a different mercenary band if they want to replace any losses. We are managing to tick our war score up though through sieging. We're also going to gain ticking war score from completing the goal. I think ticking war score stacks at 25. So the max war score we can have without occupying land would be 75. So we need to get 25 war score from somewhere that isn't winning battles, aka occupations, will be the source of our war score if we can get some. There, I think we've actually fully wiped them. There's only 1,000 Mammluk soldiers left. They're almost definitely going to replace them though. It's a question of whether we can achieve something of note in the time it takes to replace them. Taking these forts is definitely going to be a bit of an issue. We'll see if we can't grab some weak forts that don't really have much defense or manpower defending them. It doesn't even necessarily have to be Mammluk forts. Their vassals' forts will also work just fine. Yep, the Mammluks have caught up around another 20,000 mercenaries. We're on 83 war score. If we could just take some forts and gain access to the interior of their country, so we can siege down the provinces without any forts in, we could definitely gain the war score pretty rapidly. Unfortunately, we're in one of those scenarios where we're relying on the ticks from sieging. Alright, we've taken this fort. Our allies are sieging this fort, but it looks like the enemy are going to pounce on them before they can take it. I don't know, if they take it in the next 7 days when the tick happens. I'm not sure they're going to have time though. Hopefully they can defeat the enemy. They're not going to. That's really too bad. Taking that fort would have netted us at least some war score. We're on 85 right now. One thing we are going to do is we're going to use our current parliament to ask for greater levies, and then we're going to disband our levy army, then immediately call them back up again. The Mamluks don't actually have any soldiers right now, but there's a good chance they're about to call up new levies. So with that in mind, I'd like to regain some of our manpower at least a little. It might be risky disbanding our army when we are deep within their territory, but there's only 500 men on the Mamluk sides right now. So even if they do call up new people, it'll be a little bit before they're able to threaten us. Alright, that's that fort taken. We can see the Mamluks have now called up another 36,000 men, but they are all levies, so it's not the end of the world. Let's move on to this next fort. We're getting pretty close. We're on 93 war score. We just need to siege down and occupy some locations, and we should be able to cross that line. I'm scared though. I feel like anything could happen. I think we're going to call the war here. The Mamluk armies, there's just a little too many of them. And, you know, there's only 10,000 of us left. I'm just not really feeling it. I really hate to say it, but I think we'll peace out here. I wanted to go all the way. I was thinking, or planning, to force them to capitulate, and then we were just going to take Cairo. It's very far away, but it would make a nice capital for our new Ilkhanate, right? I suppose this is only the first war. There will be wars to come. So what should we take? I'm thinking we ignore the Mamluk vassals and just take Mamluk territory. Something like this. And then we could take money from them to pay off the loans we've accumulated while fighting the war. I think this is probably the smartest thing to do. At the very least, this would take a lot of the forts that we've had to bypass or fight through, so we won't need to take them again. At the same time, this isn't really going to damage them though. This land, I mean, it's not worthless, but it's not where they're getting the majority of their income from. That is, as always, is the Cairo area and Alexandria. I think we're just going to have to accept this small win. I'm a little disappointed, you can probably tell, and I actually just forgot to sell off all the people we'd had captive. These guys are still our captives though for some reason. The question becomes, of course, what do we do with this land? We're definitely going to be negatively impacted by it. But at the same time, I kind of do want to keep a hold of it because it's our border with the Mamluks now. Well, first of all, let's deal with the little revolts that are happening in our vassals, and then we can think about what we're going to do with the land. Ooh, and just as I say that, we're attacked by the coalition. That's not great. There's quite a few of them this time. It's mainly Indian nations, I think, that are strengthening them, or at least making their numbers a little larger than the coalition has normally been. These are the guys leading them. They're bringing 36,000. I don't think there's really anyone else of note though. We'll call up the extra levies we've just gained from the territory we just conquered. We haven't had time to disband our army, so we're all still here ready to fight. I think we'll just beat up the coalition until they're willing to make a white peace. There's no much reason to go further than that, at least for the moment. If we look over at the Mamluks, you can see their tax base. I don't think it's actually dropped from the war. Although, I don't know, I guess it did a little, but I'm not sure that drop is anything to do with us, since it happened during the war. Maybe they just took so many casualties. We did wipe out loads and loads of levies after all. Right, that's the coalition done. We could keep fighting, I guess. We could even annex some of the smaller nations that are in the coalition, but I don't really want to, especially because the coalition war really increases the cost for us to take land, so it feels like a bit of a waste of time, so we'll just make peace. There's still a minor rebellion we need to defeat within our vassals. Once that's done, we can actually start thinking about what we're going to do with all the land we've taken. I do think it's not really viable for us to hold all of it directly. If we look at our integration map mode, you can see a lot of our land simply isn't integrated. We're working round the clock to integrate it, but there's only so much we can do, right? Especially when we consider that we're now largely over our cultural capacity limit because of all the cultures we accepted in order to buff out our strength. Our cabinet efficiency is now minus 59%. What we can do is accept some of these cultures. It will cost us stability, but we have quite a bit. Which one is costing us the most? This one here, these Iranians, but there are quite a lot of them. I kind of don't want to abandon them. It would mean losing, well, I suppose we wouldn't lose that many cores, right? How much stability would we lose? 26? That's nearly all of ours. That's fine though, might as well spend it. We'll stop accepting them. Problem is, it's going to make them unhappy. And we are going to have revolts. I think actually, let's not do anything. Let's win this war, look at how we're going to hand out land to vassals, and then we'll think about accepting them or not accepting them. Because we may bring down the cost of not accepting them if we hand out land that they're in, obviously. Right, revolts dealt with. So let's look at the land. We've got this big patch of territory up here that I think we're going to hand out. Mainly because it's cut off from us anyway. So we can't even gain any control up here, at least until we cut through these nations. We don't have any vassals here we could hand out the land to either. I think actually let's start making some custom subjects. We could actually make a big custom subject to manage the land for us. Just release the nation we killed the first time round. But on the flip side, releasing custom vassals does have its benefits because they're all hordes when we release them, which means they have their own cavalry armies. I think we'll release a historical subject though. It's kind of nice to have big subjects on the map. For the rest of our land though, I think we're going to keep it directly. It's all connected to us, so we can get control in it eventually. It's too bad none of the... Well, actually, I was going to say, Aleppo is a city, isn't it? We could build a local governor up here in Aleppo. This town down here, Homs, is actually making a pretty penny. It's too bad it's not a city itself, or that would be where I build the local governor. But aside from that, we're going to have some revolts now. We're going to have the old rival warlords revolt, because they just continuously do so. Eventually, the unhappiness from events, I guess, will just decay away and they'll stop revolting. Maybe they'll stop even spawning at some point. The chiefs are also going to revolt, mainly just because they're part of territories we've conquered and they're not too happy with that. Shouldn't be a colossal issue, either revolt. There's the nobles, we'll just crush them. They have occupied some forts though, which will make the war last a little longer than normal. Nothing we can really do about that though. Ooh, there goes our Khan. He died at age 55. His son's taken over. That's lost us the 50 Horde Unity. I'm not sure. Sometimes we lose Horde Unity when our rulers die, and sometimes we don't. I'm not sure why. I think we're supposed to lose it every time, but as I said, sometimes it just doesn't happen. I won't lose any sleep over it though. Our Borgini breeding program at least has produced quite a lot of sons and daughters. No prodigies though, sadly. Alright, that's all our rebellions dealt with for the moment. I think we are eligible for the disaster now, but I think if we get up to 60... Horde Unity, we might be able to bypass it or stop it from happening. Too bad there's no button I can press to just give me legitimacy. We'll have to wait for the next patch for that one. Either way, let's bring our army together. Now, as I was talking about, we probably want to stop accepting somebody to increase our cabinet efficiency. Really, we have to choose between Iraqi and Farazi. Both are kind of vital to us though. The Iraqis inhabit our primary locations in Iraq, obviously. But I think it is going to be the Farsi we cut off a little. Just for the moment. It's going to really upset them. It may lead to a revolt, but you know, we can probably handle that. Now we're only 2 or 1.4 over our cultural capacity limit. We could lower their acceptance even further, but it's probably fine just at this point. Our cabinet efficiency is still quite low at negative 16%. A lot of that is due to our diplomatic capacity though. We have too many vassals. It really is just a case of us having too much land to core. But it's a problem we'll eventually overcome ourselves. You know, it'd be nice if the parliamentary debates would give me the debate that increases integration speed, but I haven't been lucky enough to receive it. Looks like we've managed to avoid the disaster, so that's one thing of note. I'm not sure why, but Aleppo has gone back under the control of the Mamluks. Was it not under my control? I'm pretty sure it was. When the revolt happened here, I guess it must have switched over to their control, but not started a war. That's really odd. I know all sorts of funky things can happen with revolts, but having my provinces switch sides to other nations isn't really what I had on the cards. On a positive note, the Mamluks have actually become the military hegemony, which means we could use the take down hegemony CB on them. It would mean we need to occupy Cairo to get ticking war score, but even if we didn't, because of how cheap it is to take land with this CB, we could do quite a bit of damage to the Mamluks. It is too bad we lost Aleppo though, because I really wanted to throw down a local governor there, but now we'll have to do without. Not the end of the world obviously, but an annoyance. We're having a bit of a revolt, we're also being attacked by the coalition. This is kind of intentional on my part though. I dropped the loyalty of a lot of my vassals down and now they've joined the revolt, so we're going to use the opportunity to clean up a lot of them. For the ones we don't want to annex, we can always just press the button to annex the revolter, which will annex the revolting nation but leave the rest of the rebels as our vassals. Most of our vassals aren't particularly forted up, so they're not really going to be able to stop us just rolling in. The ones that are forted up we may just leave. The coalition is more of an annoyance than anything else. Just wandering over there and beating them up would be enough to pacify them. It's the vassals I'd like to eat. We may end up handing out a lot of this land that we take back if it ends up being too much for us to control, but I'm feeling positive. Our army's strong enough now that I think that revolts don't really matter. We should be able to handle them no matter what. Maybe it's a little arrogant of me to say that, but that is how I feel. Alright, that's the revolt done. I would have annexed these guys too, but they were all loyal and so on my side, which is too bad. The coalition does think they're winning the war. One of the things we can do now, though, is we can just call up everyone who was fighting against us, who revolted, and just have them join our side against the coalition. A few stack wipes should be enough to see the coalition off, though. The main concern for me is money. Because we've integrated so much land, well, or annexed so much land that's not our cores, and we're going to have very low control in, We just need to keep an eye on our finances. I'm totally fine controlling land that gives me nothing economically. My only concern is if it pushes my costs too high. As long as we're in the black, as I think I've said repeatedly at this point, I'm totally fine. At the very least, we've eviscerated our number of vassals. I may do something like that again to annex even more of them. As always, we do have to be a bit careful when it comes to conquering land and expanding a little too much. Alright, coalition done. We'll again just send them off. A part of me does feel like conquering them, but I don't really want to expand into India. I'm thinking the limits of our border will be in Iran. Nice borders and all that. We are going to have a revolt by the annoying rival warlord that just doesn't seem to go away. I think we'll just have to accept that he's going to revolt infinitely. Perhaps. It's annoying, but there's nothing I can really do about it. Now, should we think about striking the Mamluks again? Our truce expires in around 4 years. They're probably about the same strength they were last time. That's not really true, though. We can see that their tax base is now 1,000. We definitely can beat them, as we saw last time. We probably want to let our levies replenish, though, before we try anything crazy. We may do the exact same thing again, where we accept a bunch of pops, pushing us over our limit, but massively increasing our army, and then bearing down on them. Let's at least for now begin building a spy network in them, so we can create that tear-down hegemony CB. Alright, our truce ends with the Mamluks in about 3 months. It's going to take us 90 months to fabricate the CB. Hopefully they don't attack us. They probably won't, though. We've already shown them what's up. Let's grab the Established Noble Garrisons parliamentary debate. We might not pass it. It will depend. I don't think we're going to. But what we are going to do is ask for more levies. We can call up an army of around 24,000 levies, going up against the Mammluk army of 200,000 plus 29,000 regulars. It's not really a fair fight for them, obviously. We are expanding our standing army as well. Oh, the Mammluks have attacked us. That's really inconvenient. They only managed to get one other person to join their coalition, but then they've now attacked us with the coalition CB. As I said, that's very annoying, because it means we're not going to be able to attack them with our own CB. Ah well, I guess this war will have to just be a fight to a white peace. I'll just add this to the list of crimes the Mammluks have committed. It is a very long list. There, we've killed nearly 100,000 of them. They're willing to make peace. Let me just remember to sell off all the people we captured. Even if it doesn't net us much money, and I mean it does, it also reduces our antagonism to do it. Then we'll just make peace. We're not going to demand anything. Although, I guess we could demand 2,000 gold. That's quite a pretty penny. It would only add an extra 2 years to the truce timer, so I think we'll take it. 2,000 gold. I'll need to think of something to spend it on, though. If only we could buy cabinet seats. I guess while we wait for that truce to expire, let's think about jumping on the last few people in the Ilkhanate that are still independent. Alright, we've waited out the truce, we have our CB, we can attack the Mamluks again. Hopefully this time to completely destroy them, or at the very least, to take Cairo for ourselves. A Khanate needs a capital worthy of its glory after all. For now though, I think we'll leave it here and I'll do that next time. Thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.